And we founded this company called Tara Gaming, which is going to make the world's first high-end AAA game on an Indian subject. AAA games are like, how many of you are gamers? Achha, that's why so few had seen the trailer. Okay. You're a gamer. Okay. So, okay, if you're not gamers, trust me, your children are. Okay. And gaming, as I discovered as an industry, is bigger than movies, music, books, theater combined. Okay. It's that big. So many of us grown-ups think gaming is a subculture. Actually, we're the subculture. Gaming is the main culture. And our kids are all on gaming, and they find nothing on an Indian subject. So you'll find Assassin's Creed, which is very Western. You'll find Gods of War. You'll find Zelda. You'll find so many. Yeah. But nothing on Indian. There have been stuff like on Prince of Persia, for example, or a Black Myth Wukong, which just came out on Chinese, but nothing on Indian. And our traditions are actually among the coolest there is. So we'll be making the first AAA high-end game on an Indian subject. The budget is bigger than a Hollywood movie. The trailer just came out just, I think, a month and a half, 2 months back. You can Google Age of Bharat and see it. More importantly, show it to your children. And it'll be available. Okay, so you really know your stuff. Okay. So we are in talks with Microsoft and with Sony. But look, as you know, since you're a gamer, you'd know there's an upside and a downside of going exclusive. So when you go exclusive with one of the platforms, yes, you get their support, but you lose the other guy. So we've managed to raise funding, so we may build it ourselves, and that is because it'll release by end 26, early 27. So there's time. So there is a film on Lord Krishna, on which I'm a creative director, called Radha Ramanam. That's releasing early next year. We finished the shooting already. We are in post-production. And how many Krishna bhakts out here? Yeah. And how many of you like love stories? Isn't it bizarre that the best love stories that you can find, which is on Lord Krishna, we may call silly love stories in Bollywood, but we don't cover the love story of what we can actually learn from, right? The love story of Lord Krishna. So this movie, I'm very proud of the script. This is from from the childhood of Lord Krishna to the time he actually leaves his mortal body, and his love with essentially the three loves of his life, right? Which is Rukmini ji, Satyabhama ji, and Radha ji, right? And if you actually see the love between these three, you get different perspectives on love. So the love with Rukmini is actually love as dharma, love as duty, love as, because Rukmini ji, if you noticed, was always very focused on what is good for the family, what is good for society. That's why she was the Patrani, right? And if you notice in all their interactions, even in the folk traditions, Lord Krishna always spoke to Rukmini ji with a lot of respect, a lot of regard, right? So that is love as duty. His love story with Satyabhama ji was essentially love as passion. If in Bhagavad or many other folk traditions, you'll find that Satyabhama ji had a lot of passion. She would get jealous very easily. She'd be possessive of Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna was almost indulgent of her, right? So you get a different aspect of love. And his love with Radha ji was, in my opinion, love as unity. There was actually no difference between the two. And that was there from the childhood, and at least the way our script is structured, that's what the end is as well. I'm very proud of this script, and I think it's the love story of love stories.
This is going to be very exciting because Lord Krishna and Radha ji are spoken about a lot, about Rukmini ji, but I think all these three different aspects will be very exciting. I think it's releasing early next year, so everyone please make sure to watch it. Very nice. I like that you brought up the AI topic because that is one of my questions. And it's become extremely exciting. It's disrupting every industry that we're talking about. I'm very happy to see that you're talking about embracing AI. So how do you see this impacting your industry? I'm now talking more as an author and storytelling. How do you see this impacting, and how should people embrace it?
Look, I think the reality is no one really knows how AI will impact our industry. It's going to impact everything. This is probably the greatest innovation that human beings have ever made. Uh, and you know, it's in many ways it will have. I mean, there's this guy called Ray Kurzweil. I don't know how many of you, if you haven't read his books, please read it. Particularly books, the singularity is near and the singularity is nearer. Uh, Ray Kurzweil is considered among the 20 most influential Americans of the last 200 years. He's like a brilliant thinker. Okay. And he predicted, he's the founder of the Singularity University. He's still alive. He predicted many of the tech and AI innovations that we are all seeing now. Right. Um, and his theory is that uh, there will come a day when AI and humanity will almost merge. Uh, tech will not take over. Not how many have seen the Terminator movies? Yeah, where machines will take over. He doesn't say that's how it's gonna work, right? Because machines will not get sentient, but human beings and AI and tech will probably merge. So he sees a time when we may have chips implanted in our brain, right? We may, if we lose a limb, we can replace it not just with with a Jaipur foot type, but actually a proper smart prosthetic limb. Now, imagine what that will do to all of us. So think about it. What he said is it's not that tech will rule humans, is that humans who imbibe tech will rule those humans who stay away from tech. That's what will happen. So actually you have to see AI, it is there. It's going to disrupt many industries. You have no idea how things are going to happen. So lean in and learn and how to leverage it in your own industry. Because if there's a human being using AI and a human being without AI, the human being with AI will probably win. That's what's going to happen.
No, it's very, very good again, food for thought for everyone. I think AI is here to stay. It's only going to disrupt further. Better to embrace it rather than always trying to be wary of that.
And it's not going to be uninvented. It's here. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, there's just so many applications coming out that it's extremely exciting. Is it impacting the publishing industry also?
Oh yeah. Because okay, there's some obvious things where it's being impacted. For example, guys doing translations. Okay, my books have been translated into 21 languages. Now, every translation, you go to a translator, you pay. Normally in India is relatively cheaper. Abroad it's more expensive. You normally pay 1 rupee per word. My books are 120,000 words. So a translator makes a lakh 20 per translation. Abhi AI does it instantly and does actually a reasonable enough job. You just need someone to just check it. After some time, when AI will learn, you won't even need to check it. What do you do with this person's job now, right? Or copy editors who check the language. This is being disrupted like now already, right? Um, it's not good enough to create a story by itself, right? So the way again, this is one of the things Ray Kurzweil had said. If you think about how AI is structured, essentially it can read faster than any human being, it can do research better than any human being, and then it will come up with a summation of what that wisdom of 100,000 books is. In a way it's like a wisdom of the crowds, right? So what does that mean? He says AI can think what others have already thought before, but AI cannot think what has never been thought before. Okay. So if you're writing a story that is fresh, which is a fresh idea, AI cannot compete with you, right? But if you're doing work that is actually just a learned skill, then you have a problem. Okay. So in some ways, basically, if your job is just the left brain, then you have a problem. If your job includes the right brain, which is creative, which is intuitive, uh, which cannot be learned, it just comes, right? that AI will not be able to replace.
No, very exciting. It's definitely going to be a very exciting space. So now I want to talk about now because I really appreciate the fact that you're really focusing on Indian culture through movies, through gaming, because it will definitely spread our mythology. Recognition that one of our authors, Banu Mushtaq, won on the global map. But do you still feel it's a struggle for our authors to break on the global stage, or is that now happening more?
Frankly, it's still a struggle. Um, and it will change over time. I'm trying to support it as well. So Jeffrey
Yes.
Archer and I recently launched an award in London. It's a $25,000 award, so amongst the
Okay,
biggest
nice.
literary prizes in the world. It's called the Archer Amish Award. We announced the first winner in London. Shivani was also there with me, uh, and the the focus of the award is to find those who are speaking the story of India. We don't insist that they be Indian. They can be
Okay.
foreigners as well,
Yeah, yeah.
right? But you must speak an Indian story. So it's an award for storytelling based on an Indian subject. And $25,000 is actually a pretty big amount.
It's very big.
And if Jeffrey Archer and I promote that book, then even big publishers,
On a
international
global
publishers
stage, you will get
will
recognized.
pick it up. So we've just started this. We announced the first award, like I said, in June, and this will be an annual award. We are thinking the next award we might do it
In India.
in India. So this is one step we are taking. I'm sure many of us can do things um, to promote our culture.
Yes.
Earlier, देखिए, India was a poor country, so you know. It's difficult to promote your culture when you don't have the funds for it. Soft power usually follows hard power. Now we increasingly have hard power.
Yes.
So we have to start building soft power as well. And it'll happen, it's a matter of time. But all of us have to push that effort.
It has to be a collective effort. I agree, but I see now India making an impact, and I've been at least talking about this on all business forums. I really feel the next 15 years is for India to be a global
Absolutely.
superpower.
Couldn't agree
But it's
more.
going to be a collective effort.
Couldn't agree more. In my mind, what a fantastic time to be an Indian. Um, like I said, I'm 50 years old, so I remember a time when, you know, बटर के लिए लाइन में खड़ा होना पड़ता था. ठीक है. Our lowest point in human history, India's lowest point economically relative to the rest of the world, was the mid 1980s. This was the lowest proportion we've ever had of the global economy ever in human history. For the first millennium, India was the richest land in the world by far. We controlled around 32-33% of the world's GDP. We were the richest by far. We were the innovation capital of the world. And at that time, our soft power was strong as well. Southeast Asia, they Hinduized. China, Japan, they Buddhicized. And all of it went from India, right? And then there was a slow decline by the end of from the 11th to the 17th. We came from 32, 33 to around 22, 23%. But it wasn't disastrous. But there was a decline, no doubt. Then British was completely disastrous. We came down from 22, 23 to maybe around 5, 6%. Then the decline actually continued post independence. Many of us don't know this.
Yes.
In our socialist era. And our lowest point in human history was actually the mid 1980s, where we were maybe around 3% of the world's GDP. We were the poorest ever in human history. This in purchasing power parity. At that time, 3 American car companies made more money than all of India.
Wow.
We were that poor. Okay. And within just 30 years, we are like, back up, man. We're the number 4 economy in the world. Applause for India.
Absolutely.
We just beat our former colonial master UK. We beat Japan as well.
Yes.
And within maybe 2 years, we'll beat
Great
Germany too. Yeah. Number 3, very soon. Then there's a long way. Okay, China will take some time.
China's still 18
But
trillion right now.
we are the generation which will see this change happen. What a time to be alive, man. And our generation and our children's generation, we are going to get the opportunity to do so much.
Yes.
Yes.
But we shouldn't take this growth for granted. We have to work hard. We have to be united. No silly divisions, on religion, on caste, on region, on language. We will miss our opportunity. We do all these silly things. Focus, work hard, and 20 years later, probably be number two, maybe even number one. Who knows?
No, absolutely. I think maybe not in 20 years, number one, but I'm sure in 50 years, definitely. We're
50
on
years to
the track.
100%. Yeah.
I think we're on track. They're talking about by 2075, India should be the biggest global economy.
100%.
So great. I'm happy that everyone shares this.
What a time to be alive.
What a time. Absolutely.
I think it's probably among the best times to be an Indian in the last many centuries.
No, I agree. I can truly agree with that. And we're seeing that on a global stage now. There's one thing that I personally want to learn from you is the art of storytelling. Because being a president of the chamber, we have to give a lot of speeches, give a lot of talks, even as part of being managing director of my company. And after so much time, I've realized that if you can start with a meaningful story, you really capture the audience interest. If you start talking numbers and jargon and technical jargon, the audience goes to sleep. So this is something I'm honestly struggling with. Maybe I'll take some lessons from you after. But if we can talk about the art of storytelling, it's such a powerful tool. How does someone embrace that? How do we learn? I mean, does it naturally come naturally, or you can still pick this up?
Look, I think it can be learned, but it's not something that comes with the left brain. It comes with the right brain. So it comes with instinct.
So AI can't help you in this.
Yeah, AI can't help you on this. But Steve Jobs had said that perhaps, among the most powerful jobs in the world is that of a storyteller. Because a storyteller gets that which is most precious, which is not your money. That's not the most precious thing you have. The most precious thing you have is your time and attention.
Yes.
The storyteller is able to capture that. And you're so right. There is not just an author who needs to be a storyteller. Any leader needs to be a storyteller. Any manager needs to be a storyteller. Because how do you get people aligned to your aims, right? Many of our politicians are great storytellers. Okay. And I'm, not across any political spectrum, but you find chief ministers speaking about, MGR from MGRJ from Tamil Nadu, for example, used to speak of the midday meal scheme, okay, and make it a story, okay. Prime Minister Modi speaks of Swachhata,
Yeah.
and you'd think that would be very boring, but he makes it a story and he makes it engaging, right? Why do you think that when you actually want to communicate something, you use a specific example of an individual rather than data, right? When you use a particular person and then make the point through that person,
People can relate.
people
more.
can relate. It's a story, right? And I think any good leader has to be a storyteller first. And there are various other skills that he or she must have. But being a storyteller is particularly important because it allows you to grab people's attention. And then you can take them where you want to take them. That is most critical. And this is something that the modern education system does not teach. It was something that our Gurukul system used to teach. Some of the new IB schools, international schools that are coming up are trying to teach it, but not so well. My son goes to an international school. I'm not particularly happy, but at least it's better than what was taught to us, right? Read as many stories as you can, because it also, if you read stories, then you instinctively get, okay, if this has grabbed my attention, I can use some example like this with someone else. Yeah.
It's a very powerful tool.
There are these very nice books by a storyteller called Amish. Read them. You'll get some storytelling skills.
No, it's really something that all of us need
No
to
such thing
hone.
no such thing as too much marketing.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, it's very, very, very true. And so, when you had started this journey and you were writing your first book, you must have got a lot of pushback, a lot of negative opinion on that. How did you push through? Or there was total support that Amish, go for it. You leave your financial career behind. You must have had some kind of
Are you talking about the
resistance.
family or outsiders?
Anyone, your colleagues,
No.
family.
Family was extremely supportive. I think the family was just stunned that, Amish has written a book. ये कैसे हो गया? And even many of my friends, people I'd spoken to, even my boss in my life insurance company, he was very happy. He was like, "Okay, someone's going to escape
Wow.
from here." Um, so no, from people who knew me, no, there was support. uh, because it doesn't really compete with what I'm doing. I'm not going to become less efficient at my job because I'm doing something. If anything, actually, since I'll be happier, I might do better at this job. But yes, there was resistance from the publishers. My first book, Immortals of Melua, was rejected by every publisher it was sent to. um, I stopped counting at 20 rejections, but some of them actually gave very detailed feedback for why they're. I'm talking about 2008, 2009. My first book was published in 2010. It was a different India in those days. So some of them gave very detailed feedback that look, um, you've taken a different interpretation on
Lord
on
Shiva.
our gods. So the older, more religious people may not
Won't
like
like
it.
it.
So you've alienated that segment. Then you're insisting on writing on in a modern, easy language rather than classical language. So the literary elite may not like it. And you've picked a religious figure. I was told that, yeah, the youth aren't interested in this subject. So one publisher had actually told me, you won't believe it. He actually told me that if you want to appeal to the youth, you have to dumb down the book. He'd actually said that. Can you imagine? The publisher thought this of his own market. Okay. And he said that your storytelling style is good. It's very fast paced, but you have these Gyan sessions every 2-3 chapters where you want to speak of philosophies and you're quoting the Upanishads and what is all this? He says the youth are, they want to read campus romance novels. They want to read non-serious stuff. So he'd actually told me that if you remove these sections,
Then I'll publish.
I might publish a book. And I'm glad I said no. And ironically, most of my readers are actually the youth, and they read. And I love my interactions with the youth because they're the ones who ask the philosophical questions. So this assumption that the youth are dumb is actually not true, right? So the resistance came more from there rather than external.
External. No, that's very good that you got complete
And I
support.
self-published my book. Yeah.
But now, because you've written a lot, do you have a favorite, or it's very difficult for you to pick?
No, that's like asking a
Which
parent
one
who's
is
the
your
favorite child.
No, I was
I
gonna
love all
say
my
that.
books.
But you're an avid reader. Who is your favorite? Do you have a favorite author, a favorite book?
Yeah, I read at least 5 to 6 books per month, and I've been reading at that pace for decades. So it's very difficult for me to give a favorite author of all time.
And you read a variety of genres.
Yeah, I read largely non-fiction. Largely,
Okay.
I read some fiction as well,
Okay.
but largely non-fiction. So how I normally answer this is of the books I've read in the recent past. Which one do I like? I spoke of Ray Kurzweil's books already. Do read it. And seriously, if you want to understand what is
future.
happening on tech and AI and the world that's changing, read this guy's book. He's one of the most brilliant thinkers that I've ever had the pleasure of
I'm
reading.
going
And
to
I met
read
him
that.
too. It was a real fan moment for me. I met him in Boston. Both my brother and I, and we spent some 2 hours just absorbing knowledge, man. What a genius. Utter genius.
No, I'm definitely going to read it, and I request others also to pick it up. Since we are from an industry chamber, so you've chronicled the rise and fall of empires. What is something, because there's always lessons from history. I always believe that. What is something that we can draw parallels between civilizational values, and the core values that a chamber like us can absorb?
Oh, very good question. I think one
Any reason why
lesson-
empires fall? Is there some pattern
Yeah.
you have seen?
there are various, various theories on why civilizations rise and why they fall. Um, Will Durant and his wife had written a book on this, which is fascinating. I have a book in mind as well, How Societies Work. Uh, it's non-fiction. I'll probably write that sometime, explaining some of these theories of mine. But one thing theory which I do want to say um, is that for a strong, stable society, you need wealth, you need security, you need innovation, you need unity, you need hard work, you need all of this. And you find states across India, like you'll find some states where wealth is disrespected, where businessmen are actually not welcome. There are states which, in the, I don't want to get into politics, so I won't name those states, but we all know which states we're talking about. There were states which were dominant culturally and economically in the 50s and 60s. In the 70s, they themselves started destroying their own economy. Their culture still remains strong. Jump forward 25 years, their culture also became weak, simply because there wasn't enough money to back that culture, right? You need wealth to keep your intellect also alive. You need security too. Look at Europe. They thought that America can defend them, so they don't need to build their own armies, and they can enjoy their money, what's called the peace dividend, and lead a great life, have social welfare for everyone. Well, America is pulling back now. Russia has attacked Ukraine, and now they're up the creek without a paddle, right? So this thing that you don't need your warriors, that you don't need your defense forces, that's also silly. You need security. Love, and the world doesn't run on love and fresh air. That sounds very nice in theory. One of the reasons I think we started losing in the 11th century to many invaders. Invaders used to come to India. We used to beat them back always. We were considered an unconquerable land. I think among the reasons we started losing was a privileging of non-violence. We always had a non-violent pacifist tradition in India. We did say ahimsa paramo dharma, but there's another line after that, dharma hinsa tathaev cha. That yes, ahimsa is the greatest dharma, but when you have to defend dharma with violence, then be violent, right? We we would never be the kind who'd go out to conquer others. But if you slapped us, we didn't turn the other cheek, we'd freaking box you back. Okay, that was our attitude. What Europe is doing today, India experimented with in the 11th, 12th century, and we started losing repeatedly. There's also another thing, that lack of unity. Dr. Ambedkar had written in his book, Who Were the Shudras, that the caste system probably became rigid. He based it on textual research that he'd done, that the caste system probably became rigid around 1000 to 1500 years ago. Before that, there was a lot of intermingling. And as you know, one of the markers of the caste system is this roti beti thing, that you'll not marry into other groups or you'll not share food with them. If intermingling is happening, it means roti beti was actually not there, right? And modern genetic research is actually supporting what Dr. Ambedkar says. There was heavy intermingling in our genetic groups till around 1500 years ago. Something happened and that intermingling stopped. And slowly we became weak and we started losing to invaders. Lack of unity, privileging of non-violence made us weak. See, you can be non-violent if there is someone standing in front of you willing to protect you, who's willing to be violent. Then you can be non-violent, right? Otherwise, if you're going to be non-violent like Europe and someone else is violent, you will lose, right? Again, like I said, there are some cultures which were actually very strong. Like culturally, Brazil used to have a lot of influence. You'll notice their cultural influence is coming down. Why? Because the economy is declining. South Korea's cultural influence has shot up because the economy shot up 40 years ago. So you need a combination of it all. And that's something we Indians should learn. We need to be wealthy, we need to be strong, we need to be united, we need to be intellectually curious, all together. All together. Then we will be strong. That's something we should not forget.
I think we are seeing that. I definitely feel we're not going to turn the other cheek anymore, especially after
Which is good.
What we've been seeing with
But in some of the states, like I see, there's a tendency to demonize businessmen.
Yes,
Which is
become
actually
a trend. It's
which
become
is
a
not
global
good.
trend now.
Which is not good, because if you don't have your businessmen, who's going to generate the wealth, bhai? There's a tendency to demonize intellectuals who don't agree with you. Intellectuals have a tendency to debate. You want them because they're the ones who will come out with innovations, right? So we must celebrate all of this together. Then we'll be strong.
No, it's a very nice food for thought, I think. Time being short, I'm going to open the questions to the audience now. And we have Yes, I think we can start with Mr. Jain. Yeah, excuse me,
We'll get one more.
one more
Thank
coffee,
you.
please.
Great sharing. Thank you very much. My name is Raj Jain. My question to you is, what are the top three factors that have gone into building the brand Amish Tripathi?
Uh-huh. Look, this is hindsight. I'm analyzing.
It's not the AI. It's not the AI.
I didn't have a strategy when I started working, but I think more than top three, I would just say a key thing is that I'm lucky to be in the right place at the right time. Um, I think I am someone who is liberal and inclusive, but extremely proud of our traditions. I don't hide my pride in our traditions at all. I wear an Om Namah Shivai Kadha, I wear a Rudraksh Mala. I don't hide it at all. But I don't hate any other religion. I am very patriotic, but I am liberal and inclusive. So it's a balance which, if you ask me, if I had emerged as an author 40 years ago, God knows, I may not have done well. Right? If I had emerged 25, 30 years later, God knows by that time India may have already been powerful and maybe someone like me would not be needed. But maybe I happened to emerge at a time because 1991 was our economic independence. 47 was our political independence, but 91 was our economic independence. And Indians started becoming richer and a generation rose. And they wanted to see their culture, which was actually my culture as well. Because I can speak English, I think, well, but my roots are very basic. So I just happen to be there at the right time, right place. I think that is a critical success factor. I'm lucky, it's Lord Shiva's blessings.
Great. I've got more, but we've got lots of people too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have
Thank you.
written. Even my two sons and myself read together.
Thank you.
We have that two generation reading your book.
Thank you.
With that inspiration, last year I also got that Indian philosophy and tradition as a great thing. I have written book on sustainable promise, how India used to be sustainable even that 5000 BC. And you rightly touched that India was at peak when we were 23% global GDP. And we have gone down to that 2.8%. Now we are on trajectory to go back again to that. Many people, economists say that 2047 will be 30 trillion economy. You touch upon unity, which is collaboration and innovation and technology enabling. What else we as Indians should do to accelerate that for that, not 2047, but 2037, because this is Indian Chamber of Commerce. We are mostly businessmen.
No, very
So
good
what we
question.
should accelerate to do it 10 years before and become that 18% GDP of the globe.
I think our Indians, we don't lack in innovation, we don't lack in hard work. We lack in a few things. I think a bit of discipline could be a good idea. Because there's so much lack of discipline, we don't work in a united manner. Look, Indians will never be as disciplined as the Chinese. That's never going to happen. We are by nature a very rebellious people. You put 10 Indians together, you'll get 11 opinions. And there's a reason why I have a lot of respect for Indian politicians across all political parties, because we are a very, very, very difficult people to manage. And they have to manage us and somehow get consensus among a very fractious, rebellious people and somehow win elections after 5 years. We are a very difficult people. But a little bit of discipline, थोड़ा सा कानून मान लो भाई, अभी लाल बत्ती है तो रुक जाओ, you know, और लाइन है तो लाइन में लगे रहो भाई, सबको चांस मिल जाएगा. Little bit of discipline will be good. There's a reason why so many Indians do well abroad, because out there we are disciplined. So that, and I'm not saying become military North Korea, China type, वो हमसे कभी होगा नहीं. We are never going to be that way. We are a very rebellious people. Okay, but a little bit of discipline. Second, there is a tendency, as I was telling earlier, to demonize businessmen and intellectuals who don't agree with you. Okay, that's not a good idea. If businessmen aren't there, where will the wealth be generated? Okay, if there is no wealth, you'll not distribute wealth, you'll distribute poverty. And if intellectuals aren't there, where will the innovation come from? And intellectuals, by their very nature, will have different opinions, which is okay. We must celebrate it. We had the tradition of Shastrat. So forget about kings allowing, our gods used to allow themselves to be questioned. That was our tradition, correct? But there was always maryada in words, right? There should always be maryada. There should be, we believed in debates, but not rudeness. Okay, so this is the second thing. Third thing, for God's sake, be united. Whenever India has lost, और ये सच रहा है, इतिहास गवाह है, भारत का किला हरदम अंदर से खुला है, हरदम. Your foreigners never needed to struggle to find an Indian traitor. In Jallianwala Bagh, everyone has heard of Jallianwala Bagh? Who was the guy who ordered the firing? General Dyer. Everyone knows? Yeah. Who were the people doing the actual firing? All of us, Indians. किसी ने ये नहीं कहा यार निहत्ते हैं, मेरे लोग हैं, मैं गोली नहीं चलाऊंगा. गोरे ने ऑर्डर दे दिया, चलाओ. We never had a shortage of traitors in our country. And our default among Indians is to find some excuse to start fighting with each other. बैठे बैठे क्या करें, करना है कुछ काम, चलो लड़ाई शुरू करते हैं. Okay, and we'll find something or the other to fight about: language, religion, caste, something or the other. And if we do that now, there's a moment of time in history when the global order is changing, when many of the old superpowers are becoming weak. We have a chance. We should not mess it up. For God's sake, stay united. I always say, if you're an Indian, you're one of us. It doesn't matter what religion you're from, what caste you're from, what language you speak. If you're an Indian, you're one of us. That's the attitude we must have.
No, excellent, excellent.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much to both of you. I think this is a very rooted postmodern conversation. My question to Amish ji is, I have been very curious how you would look at the Indian diaspora. The reason why I'm saying it is because I feel that there's so much of lack of not knowledge, but inability to merge, if you can understand what I'm saying, with different Indian identities. Because as a teacher, as a professor, what I'm seeing is, irrespective of whether we are into business, commerce, or art, aesthetics, music, you meet different types of Indians. So you have obviously already stated that we need to do this and that. What is your social message for the Indian diaspora? Thank you.
Ma'am, I actually lived in the UK for 4.5 years. I was an Indian government diplomat. And I served my tenure and I served an extension as well. So it was a relatively long period. And it was the first and only time I've lived abroad. I've traveled a great deal, but I've always been an India boy. It's the first time I lived abroad. And therefore, out there, I interacted with many. And my role was such, I was Minister of Culture and Education at the Indian High Commission. My role was such that I interacted with a lot of the diaspora. And UK being such an international, particularly London being such an international city, I interacted with diasporas of across the world. I've seen Indian diasporas at two extremes. One group among them is even more rooted and traditional than modern Indians today. They deeply cherish all our rituals. They know our language well. You must have seen there are so many videos of a Caribbean Hindu singing a bhajan and singing it so perfectly, right? Getting the pronunciations right, and whose family has been in the Caribbean for 150 years, right? Strongly holding on to our culture, very united, very successful, right? Across the world, Indians are actually among the most, the richest, the wealthiest, most educated, least criminal, least proportion in jail. So really model minority. But there is another extreme also that one is seeing, and particularly among second, third generation young Indians, where many of them are getting cut off completely from our culture. Um, and the way I see it is the diaspora is also ours. So India has to come up with, cultural messages which may appeal to some of those Indians who are being completely cut off. There are some who are actually even denying that they are Indian so that's also happening. But we need to come up with messages, the mother culture, which can hold on to them. And part of why some of the younger generation is moving out is maybe because they see their parents as too strict. So maybe we can, and it'll happen naturally that hold on to your culture. But the Indian way was never about gripping the sand too tight up. You try and hold it in your hand too tight, the sand will slip out, right? The Indian way was always a light touch unity, unlike many other cultures. And India, as we grow more confident, more economically vibrant, we will have an influence on the diaspora. India has had diasporas in the ancient past, by the way. Like I said, 1,000 years ago, Indians had traveled to Southeast Asia, China, Japan. That's how our culture spread out there. There are many people who Americanize themselves today because they think it raises their cultural status. 1,000 years ago, many people Indianized themselves because they thought it would raise their status. There was an Indian diaspora which influenced foreign cultures. It'll happen once again. But at the heart of it, the mother culture has to be strong, which is India.
Yes, Shrishti.
Hi, Amish. Firstly, I just want to say it's been really nice hearing you speak. It's really been like thought-provoking and enlightening.
Thank you.
My question is about some of your characters, like be it Ram or Sita. They aren't as docile as, Indian mythology often shows them as very obedient and, Maryada Purushottam. Was there a reason? Was it just a creative liberty you took? Or was there like a deeper message you were trying to get at?
So, Lord Ram, even in the Ramcharitmanas, in the Valmiki Ramayana, he can be very tough when he has to be. But he was always centered, very calm. So even when he had to be tough, it was never kind of losing his temper. He was tough because he had to be tough. But even the Ramcharitmanas, which was written 400 years ago, when culture had changed quite a lot, even in that, there's this line where Lord Ram says, Bole Ram, where it is said that Bole Ram sakop tab bhai bino hoy na priti, that there is no love without fear, right? So Lord Ram could be tough when he had to be, which any leader, actually any human being has to be. When you have to be tough, you should be tough. You shouldn't be unnecessarily tough, but you shouldn't be a doormat either. But I think your question refers more to Sita Ma. Look, how we see Sita Ma is very often defined, at least in urban India, defined by a television serial of the 1980s, where she was portrayed in a particular way. Okay. Again, I think Ramanand Sagarji did a very good job, right? And that was a time when our education system was touched. We were being taught very little. So at least, he did such a good job in getting people to know what the story is. But Ramanand Sagarji based his Ramayana, his television serial, largely on the Ramcharitmanas, which was written by Goswami Tulsidas ji in the 16th century. Right? If you read the original Valmiki Ramayana, Sita Ma is a much stronger character in that. Right? Many of us Indians actually haven't read the Valmiki Ramayana, so that appears new. Right? And Valmiki ji is credited with 3 Ramayans: the Valmiki Ramayana, the Ananda Ramayana, and the Adbhut Ramayana. How many of you have read the Adbhuta Ramayana? That's very sad. Okay, how many of you have heard of the Adbhuta Ramayana? Okay, 2 at least. Okay, thank God. Okay, if you can find it, read it. But my Sita, Warrior of Mithila, is based on the Adbhuta Ramayana, which is also credited to Valmiki ji. Just to tell you that version of the Ramayana in a small example, there are 2 Ravans in that version of the Ramayana, in the Adbhuta Ramayana. The stronger Ravan is the elder Ravan. Okay, guess who kills that Ravan?
Sita, my
Goddess Sita. Applause for the women here. In that version, Goddess Sita kills Ravan. Okay, there's a lovely version of the very famous Mahabharat line, Yada Yada Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati. Everyone has heard that line? Glanir Bhavati Bharata. You know what that means? There's a different version of that line in the Adbhut Ramayana. Yada Yada Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Suvrata Abhyutthanam Adharmasya Tada Prakruti Sambhava. That remember, O keeper of right, I will translate, don't worry. Remember, O keeper of righteous vows, Suvrata. Okay. Whenever dharma is in decline or adharma rises, the sacred feminine will incarnate. She will defend dharma, she will protect us. This is from Valmiki ji in the Adbhut Ramayana. If we show strong feminine characters, any author, including me who does that, we are not doing anything new. We are not making any creative liberties. We are staying true to what our own ancient tradition is. In our own ancient traditions, the feminine was respected. Men weren't hated. See, in the West, they tend to swing on extreme. To fight for women's rights, hate men. To fight for transgender rights, hate women. The West doesn't know balance. They swing from one extreme to the other. India never had that. We would respect women. That doesn't mean you have to hate women. You have to hate men. We would respect transgenders. We had transgender traditions. But that doesn't mean you have to hate women. Right? We could respect all 3. That was our tradition. That was our ancient tradition, which we forgot for a few centuries because of the invasions. We should revive that now. There is no creative liberty. I'm staying true to what our own ancient traditions are.
wow.
Maybe one or 2 more questions we can take from the back.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I can't.
Mic.
Just speak a little loudly. I think the mic isn't.
Good evening, sir. My name is Asabri. First of all, I would like to thank you for all the insightful information
Thank
that
you.
you've shared with us. My question to you is that what is that one piece of advice you would give to a young professional who's facing criticism early in their career?
Oh, very good point. Do you do weight training? Gymming? Who all do weight training? Gymming? Why do you pick up weights? Why don't you just do it with your hand like this? Who said that word? What's the word? Resistance. You need resistance. Muscles grow against resistance. Character grows against criticism. That's the way it is. You'll notice that some who have a completely easy life, like so many, I lived in the West for like I said, for 4.5 years. The younger generation in the West is the most privileged generation in human history. No one has inherited the amount of money that they have. They genuinely lack real problems. Okay, because they change their phones every year. They have no real problems, and I haven't seen a generation that is more unhappy. Okay, if you don't have real problems, you create problems for yourself because you have ennui. Like if you don't do anything if you're just lying on your bed all the time, what do you think will happen to your muscles? They'll waste away, right? Muscles grows against resistance. Character grows against problems and resistance. Okay, and that is it's one of the things that is actually a lesson from the Ramayana. It's something that Gautam Buddha also says. The first of his 4 noble truths, that grief and suffering is the fundamental reality of the universe and life. There is no one here who has never had problems in life. No one here who lives on a bed of roses. All of us have problems. Some have more, some have less, but all of us have problems. we can life is actually not about the problems themselves, it's about how you react to those problems. Ravan had problems, his reaction was, the world hurt me, I will burn everything down. Lord Ram had problems, he suffered, his reaction was, the world hurt me, I will be even more noble. Right? How you react to your suffering and criticism defines your life. And if you actually don't have problems and criticisms, then you actually become like the younger generation in the West, where actually when one meets them, like the thought that kept coming in my mind, आप लोग इतना क्या रो रहे हो, क्या problem है आपको, you don't actually have any real problems. And then they'll want to put up some some Instagram posts about about Gaza. They can't even point Gaza on the map. Okay. Or anyway, they just want to pretend to have problems because they don't have any real problems. Right? Real problems are good for you. It's an opportunity to grow your character. At times, the criticism is unfair. Like at times, fate is unfair to you. Right? But those are opportunities to grow. Muscle grows against resistance. Have that attitude. I'll not lie to you and tell you the problems will go away. They will never go away. And if they go away, your life will actually be terrible. Because they are there, it's an opportunity to grow. Have that attitude.
One final question. Last question.
May I?
Shri.
Yeah, thank you to both of you, Mr. Tripathi and Mr. Jindal. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, thanks for giving the opportunity to build this question to you. First of all, on a lighter note, before coming to my question, it was great conversation. I think all the audience were enthralled.
Thank you.
And just picking a thread from the headline Fireside Chat, I would say here that Mr. Jindal, though dodged a lot of outsingers, and maybe a couple of googlies also, but you, Mr. Tripathi, were able to navigate all those in-singers, googlies, etc. in a great manner, and you allowed all the fire to dissipate by the side mildly and gradually. I'll come to my question, sir, without much ado. I'm curious to know, having done 3 different heads across your 3 totally distinct careers across financial, as a diplomat, and as an author. So I'm curious to know, sir, what were the 3 major challenges, ideally one each from all 3 different sectors, different roles, which you faced, and how could you navigate those 3 challenges to manage your careers in such a successful manner?
Yeah, I think if there's a common theme across all 3 careers, when you start out on something new, you have all your teething troubles, like the young lady there was saying, criticism, problems, because actually you have no idea, right? When you jumped into something new. My banking job was, immediately after my MBA, and at that time, I'd been to Xavier's College, I'd been at IIM Calcutta. I was the lead singer of our band in IIM Calcutta, Cultural Fest, all those things. I had a set attitude. When I joined banking, my first day on the job, I landed up without a tie. And my boss scolded me. What do you think you are? You're coming to a holiday or what? And he had extra ties in his drawer. He said, you wear this. And he told me that you're coming here. People are trusting you with your money, with their money. Take it seriously. Any new job, okay, and it was like a new career for me. True. I could either have an attitude, what the hell, or actually I learned that this is how things work out here. When I went into writing, I was always a voracious reader. I'd never been in publishing. I had no idea how distribution worked. I didn't even know what an ISBN number was. And I was self-publishing my first book. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was trying to learn. And one of the things that I learned during my publishing career is just keep listening to different people, because I needed to learn the new industry. Right? So I would go to bookstores and speak to sales guys. I realized that, and I'm talking about 2010, many of the authors actually don't go and speak to the sales guys. They have an attitude, मैं author हूँ, Correct. They don't speak to the store owners also.
Absolutely.
If you go and speak to the sales guy, speak nicely to them, spend 5 minutes, explain what your book is about, they ensure your book is displayed all the time and it's never out of stock. Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. And you learn how the trade works. It's the same thing in government service. Right? They have many private guys who've joined the government service. Uh, and some of them have not worked out well actually. The government allowed, they've hired some at director level, but they've hired some at joint secretary level. I was hired at a joint secretary level. We were senior enough to push our way around, right? But in the group that we'd been hired, from what I know, there were 3-year tenures. Many of them, nearly maybe 1/3 of them, left in the first year and a half, because they couldn't adapt to the government style of working, right? I served my full tenure. I got an extension as well. And I was clearly not looking to make my career out there. Government salary is not that good.
True.
But it's a huge honor and opportunity to be out there. But the thing to learn, government system is not going to change for you. You have to adapt to the government system and then still deliver within that, right? Like Nandan Nilekani ji, I don't know if you've read his interviews. His entire attitude was the system is the way it is. You have to adapt to it, right? And make it work within there. So I always think whichever industry you enter in, particularly if you're doing something new, don't come in with the arrogance that I've been an achiever and I'm not going to adapt to you adapt to me. With the hell with it. ऐसा नहीं होता है, right? The system will then break you. You have to find a way to work within that system. That's actually a learning that has served me well across different industries.
And then another brief question.
I think we'll have to stop here because we still have to give the vote of thanks, and I would really truly like to thank Amish for such a captivating session. One thing I didn't mention is that we have members who have flown in from across the globe to hear you. So we have Mr. Raj Jain, who's flown in from America. He has come. He was extremely interested and to meet you, to listen to you. We have members from Kochi, from Tamil Nadu, from North Bengal, Siliguri. So they have come across the across the globe, I can say, to really listen to you. I think we have a lot to learn from what Amish has told us, and I really want to thank him for taking the Indian culture global. I truly feel through these movies, through gaming, and it will really connect with the youth. I think that is something that I'm looking forward to, as we've already discussed.
Thank you.
And I really would truly again like to thank you. It's been such an ease talking to you. You are such a lovely storyteller, which is why I think audiences would love to hear you more. And we would love to invite you for another session, maybe in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So before we close, 2 minutes, yeah. I think we didn't do our research well probably on you. Amish, we forgot to ask you to maybe sing 2 lines for the audience because you just mentioned. I think everybody would love that. Maybe 2 lines.
Okay, there's no instrumentation, so I will sing something that I loved in my IMC days. How many of you have heard of Madhushala? Yeah. Pandit Harivansh Rai Bachchan? Yeah, chalo, Madhushala. And not the full thing, obviously, just. मदिरा ले जाने को घर से चलता है पीने वाला मदिरा ले जाने को घर से चलता है पीने वाला किस पथ में जाऊं असमंजस में है वो भोला भाला अलग अलग पथ बतलाते सब अलग अलग पथ बतलाते सब पर मैं ये बतलाता हूँ राह पकड़ तू एक चला चल ओ राह पकड़ तू एक चला चल पा जाएगा मधुशाला, पा जाएगा मधुशाला। सुन रुन झुन मधुकट से गिरती प्यालों में हाला। सुन रुन झुन जल वितरण करती मधुसा की बाला। बस आ पहुँचे दूर नहीं, बस आ पहुँचे दूर नहीं, कुछ 4 कदम और चलना है। चहक रहे सुन पीने वाले, महक रही ले मधुशाला। चलो भाई।
Wonderful, wonderful. Truly amazing. And my next question is, when do we get your album, music album? Because you sing so well. And I think there are many areas which ICC would like to work with you, because I must say that the kind of aura you carry with you, I'm sure this is all because of Lord Shiva, and the kind of positivity which you spread and which I can feel. I think there is a lot which all of us can learn, and we look forward to, as President mentioned, to interact with you and to have you more. And I think before we end, I'll make a request to President to kindly present a small token. And let's carry this vote of thanks with a huge, huge, thunderous round of applause for this amazing and wonderful session. I think it's truly, truly amazing. No. And in the meantime, I'll request Shri to please present a token to the better half for your presence and for supporting Amish ji in his journey.
तालियों से अभिनंदन किया जाए।
I'm sure nobody wants this session to end, but I think for this time, let's end this. And we would like to invite all of you now for the dinner. Thank you so much. And the books are there. Everybody is encouraged to buy and maybe get signed. Thank you.
सामने ही आप